Welcome to another episode of Uncaged, the John Rocker podcast. I, of course, am John Rocker, and I got a brand new fancy co-host. Some people call him Ball Game. Yours truly. Some people call him Southside. His wife just calls him Steve Rickman. Welcome, Steve, to the episode of Uncaged. And my guest this week, hell, I've been a fan of this guy for, I don't want to date the guy, I want to say a lot of years. And I've been probably like a C-list famous guy, you know, for some years of my life. But I've met a lot of famous folks, and there's, you know, when you hit the height of fame, when you're like a one name, you drop a first name like Shaq or Tiger, you one name famous, acronym famous as well, like A-Rod. We did that's Alex Rodriguez. Well, this man here, he's made it to acronym fame. You just drop three letters, you know exactly the hell I'm talking about. Like when I say DDP, you know, I'm talking about Diamond Dallas Page. That's what we got on the show today. We got Diamond Dallas. What's up, brother?
Hey, baby. Loving life, man.
You look like
I'm 6 months out from 70. I do like a countdown when I get to the big numbers.
Where's the gray hair in your beard? It's not there. Well,
yeah,
it's
fake. And dude, I'll always dye that shit up, but eventually it's going to start working its way out.
Yeah.
You know, but I like that. Yeah.
I've got at least 2/3 of my beard just straight up gray now. My hair is held in there. Unlike Steve's there.
Mine.
He's got the old fucking skunk cut there.
But I will tell you, hold on. I color just like DDP, and I'm just about 2 weeks off. But dude, I will color to the day I die. Don't
see you out of color. What kind of color do you use? Gray?
Go to a salon. I don't go to a barber. If I see a barber pole, I run. I want hot chicks in a salon. I want it to cost $135, and I will look good for 6 weeks. That's how
6 weeks. Who's more high maintenance? You or Amanda?
Oh, me, 100%. I have more products. I have Chi. I believe if you have long hair, it needs to be straight. You had a ponytail for a minute. Dallas's hair was always curly, but I straighten the hair. I don't have flyaways, bro.
Hey, dude, when I straighten my hair, because people say, wow, man, why do you perm your hair? I go, I don't perm my hair. Like, first of all, I'm going to tell you the truth. If you ask me something, I'm going to tell you the truth. I said, I never perm. I try to straighten it. And the one time I did, boy, I fried my hair so bad. I'm like, okay, I'm not doing that again. Well,
speaking of that, Dallas, I've got like wavy hair, not curly, but wavy. And I got I'm actually giving away some of my man card here. And if someone wants to kick my ass for saying this, I'll let you take the first punch, have at it. I actually kind of like, I'm making fun of Ball Game here, but I went to a salon in Buckhead and got my hair chemically straightened when I was about 30, 31 years old. Yeah. And 51-year-old John Rocker would kick the shit out of 31-year-old John Rocker, do some dumb ass shit like that. Yeah, kick my own ass for doing some shit like that. Yeah, that's what I did. I chemically straightened. Yeah, that's embarrassing to admit to, but I did that one time.
You know what? You hold your man card high, baby. I can remember I was wearing a pink shirt, and he goes, DDP, you're wearing a pink shirt? Really? And I said, I'll wear whatever color I want, bro. Like, you're gonna,
Mom, I'm 6'7", 300 pounds of fucking hell. Yeah. I wear a bra if I fucking feel like it.
Yeah, I'm gonna do what makes me feel comfortable, man. You know,
you still look great, man. I can't even say 470. I mean, you look great for whatever age, man. And I tell you, your profession, your line of work, man. I don't say really 9 out of 10 can't say that shit.
Now I'll tell you, Ken, though, Kevin Nash looks unbelievable, and he's got his shoulders and his knees redone, and he still holds on, man. The one thing he did do, he got done with dyeing his hair about 25 years ago. But, you know, he's got that black hair that when the beard comes in or the hair comes in, it's like that bright, like that white, bluish gray that looks friggin' great. I mean, he's the only guy I would say, like when people would say to me, man, DDP, you look unbelievable for 69. I said, I look unbelievable for 49. Yeah.
What some folks do to their bodies. You know, we're going to get to your docuseries here shortly, because some of the old wrestlers and I've watched some of your docuseries. Great job. Kudos to you, man. And what you've dedicated your life to, your change or die philosophy. That's the name of the docuseries. So we'll try to throughout the show, audience here, but Change or Die is a docuseries. It's on Tubi. It's DDP's show. I've seen the first 3 episodes, and yeah, it's some eye-opening stuff. What Dallas is doing with some of these folks that honestly, if they hadn't met you, Dallas, I don't know, a couple of them 6 months, maybe a year left. That's going to be bricks.
Let me ask you this, John. In your wildest dreams, everybody knows the friggin' evolution of Jake the Snake Roberts. And would you ever have thought in a million years, 20 years ago, that Jake would have outlived Macho, Piper, and Hogan? Like, Jake is and his health is great right now, and he's back with his ex-wife. He married her, had 2 kids, got divorced, remarried, had 2 more kids, and then she just couldn't take Jake drug or Jake drink or Jake whatever. So she told him to hit the pike. And that's when he came in and lived with me for a while. And then later on came back for the resurrection of Jake the Snake, a documentary that we filmed that's also on Tubi and Amazon Prime. But she is back with Jake. Beautiful.
For a third round, huh?
I'll tell you what, because this is the one she wanted to be with. The guy that was sober, because when Jake, a lot of guys can handle their booze. I can handle my booze. Thank you, God, that I can handle it.
I've drank with you a couple of times.
Yeah, but some guys change, and he didn't want to be that guy, and so he finally kicked the habit. It's been 14 years, so more.
You've been sober 14 years, huh?
14 years, man.
Yeah.
During that time frame, because you've always been kind to Atlanta radio, and rock stations better than anybody support wrestling versus stations or hip hop. So I've been in the studio with you probably 15 times, but you brought Jake in and I saw him looking bad. And then you brought him in again and again. I think he was in with you 3 times during the time frame you're talking about, and total transformation. You saved his life.
Yeah, he'll be the first to say that too. And we got another 10 years out of Scott Hall. Today's his birthday, Scott Hall. And he would have been 66. But when he got sober, with us in this, because I got to back that up, because this is an unbelievable story. Sean Waltman, also known as X-Pac or 123 Kid, Sean had DM me on Twitter, and I never looked at the DMs. I never did. And we were filming the resurrection at my house in Smyrna, because that's where I lived and that's where I moved Jake into, and would later move Scott into for the resurrection of Jake the Snake. But that night, Sean Waltman had DM'd me. One of my guys who works for me, who was still at the crib, was saying, hey, you just got a DM from Sean Waltman. And it said, and I paraphrased, I can't remember exactly what it said, but it said something along the lines, love what you're doing with Jake. Would you please reach out to Scott? He said he's got a gun and he's going to kill himself. Now, at that point, I was like, we're filming. Me and Jake, we're talking this as this happens. And Jake goes, let's call him. And I said, bro, I've back when you were, on your own highway, let's call it. I've called dozens of times and no one picks up, And Scott had not picked up the phone when I'd called him over the last 10 years. But on that night, he answered the phone. And it took him a while to understand who it was. That's he'd been drinking, vodka for breakfast, And then when he realized it was me, he's like, oh, Dally, oh, Bo, how you doing, man? Like, remember in New Orleans when me and Kev, when they did the deal of me dropping the NWO, that was my idea. But Kevin and Scott made that happen because the booking committee did not see that. But back over to he's reminisce, addicts will always go to they can't get out of a certain time in their life, and that's what they always talk about. It could be 30 years ago, it could be 3 days ago. Either way, Jake stepped in and he go, who, Jake? Like Jake, he said, Jake, I heard you moved in with Dallas. He goes, yeah, Scott, you got to come. I'm 60 days in sober. He's like, you got 60 days? Now, remember, Jake Roberts, I don't know when was the last time that he had gone 60 days. And it was after a fall. He came in, was great, and immediately, boom, he was out on a road trip and, got tore up again. But he got 60 days in, and by the time we got to the end of that conversation, Scott sounded like a different person. And later that next day, I didn't answer the phone when he had called me, and we put it in the resurrection of Jake the Scott, the resurrection of Jake the Snake. But we put that piece where Scott called, and we just, Scott left me this message, and everybody who was at the crib was listening to it. And he's like, I want to come. I want to get there. And, for that first year, he never touched a drop. Afterwards, on and off a little bit. Then, COVID hit, and that's what killed him. Because when you take an addict and you stick them in a room by themselves, you can't that was the most fucked up part of what they did to humanity for the money. Because just follow the money and you'll know why they were making people take those bullshit shots. Follow the money. It's the biggest transfer of wealth ever. But what came out of that time of us together during the resurrection was two of my buddies who, had turned their lives around. And we could have called that change or die. We could have called that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, like you're talking about, I'm not an addict by any means, but I probably drink a little more than I should. And it comes down to one thing generally, DD, is I'm just bored out of my tit. I get up in the morning, I work my day, I go to the gym, I do my stuff. And when it gets to be 8 o'clock at night, that's where I just stare at the TV and be like, I'm going to have a couple cocktails, and I shouldn't do it 6 days a week, but it's just, I'm bored. I just want some activity to do, and have a drink or two and call some buddies up, sit there with my girlfriend, and we talk shop and watch a ball game. But I'm certainly not waking up with it. But somebody that does have that issue, the COVID hits and you can't go anywhere, you can't do anything, you can't see anybody, you're bored out of your tit, and the liquor store's still open. Let's head down there for a little bit. And
as long as you can always control it, it's not an issue. As long as it doesn't, fuck with your life.
Yeah.
As long as you don't change. That's the biggest thing I've learned about addiction. I am no specialist by any stretch of the imagination. My father was an alcoholic. I grew up in the bar business. I was running a little rock and roll bar by the time I was 23 years old. I was in the bar business before I ever went into wrestling. I ran a huge club in Fort Myers, Florida. And in that
bar business to wrestling.
Well, first I'll tell you, this is, I rarely tell the story because it gets too convoluted, but at 23 years old, I wanted to be a wrestler, like more than anything. And me and my buddy John Shipley, we pinned Gorilla Monsoon. Well, we didn't pin him down, but we just, fans pestering the shit out of him. How do we get into wrestling, man? How do we get into wrestling? And we had just seen him at Asbury Park Convention Hall. And just to shut us up, he gave us this name, Tito Torres. And I'll bet you I trained there maybe 20 times.
Now,
I knew
it was this person you're talking about.
He was like an enhancement guy, a job guy, as they used to call them, a guy you knew was going to lose. But in Puerto Rico, he had a good name.
Okay.
And I've had 3 matches. I sucked. You didn't have to know a lot back then. And on one of the times I went over the top rope and I torqued my knee. And I went to go see my doctor, and he was like, listen, take off a month or 2, then you can go back to that crazy wrestling crap you're doing and blah, blah, blah. And over that period, I got a chance to run my first little rock and roll joint. I've been in the bar business since I was 17. I mean, I was working, bouncing, bar backing, bartending. I'd done really just about all the things you could do in a bar, except for ran one. So I decided when I got the opportunity, I want to go back to wrestling, but let me go right next, because the booze, the broads, and the bravado, bro. Like, that was where I wanted to be anyway. So, long story short, I left that small place in South Orange, New Jersey, and I went to Texas, Houston, Texas. It was booming like crazy. It's 1980, 81. It was crazy booming the oil business. And I just loved that business. And then I came back from there, ran my first big nightclub in Asbury Park, New Jersey, called Club Xanadu. And around that time is when I ran into Bam Bam Bigelow. Bam Bam, I noticed that he was like since he was 16 years old, but now he was talking about, getting into wrestling, and he was going to Texas, Dallas, Texas. They had a WCCW, and we just like, you're really doing this. We had talked about it since, I'm about 6 years older than him, but we had talked about it since we were kids. I was in my 20s, he was in his teens, and now he was really, I did it. I never went back to it. And then right after that, WrestleMania hit, and this is the truth, I was so pissed off at myself for not following the dream, because I knew I was supposed to be there. But I'll take this as a favor from God, because if me and Jake Roberts, who's 11 months older than me, that's it. If me and him meet in some territory, somewhere, the way my party mindset was then and his, we might have killed each other way back then. And so it was a blessing in the turn. And when WrestleMania happened, I stopped watching wrestling until one night I was watching, and just go watch the channel. Remember, there's 3 of them on the channel. And I was flipping the channels, and Gorilla Monsoon was there. And I'm like, I got to watch this. Let the spawn spot my heart with Gorilla. And he had this guy on who could talk his ass off. He had a leather coat and a boa and these crazy sunglasses and a do-rag. And it was Jesse the Body Ventura. So now I'm captivated with the characters. And the first guy that walks out has a bag over his shoulder and a Fu Manchu. Jake the Snake Roberts. I watched that son of a bitch walk to the ring, and Jake had swag before people knew what swag was. Then he got in the ring. Now remember, I've done it, so I know it's a work, but they didn't really totally smarten you up at any point in time. And what ended up happening is I'm watching Jake's match. I'm like, I don't see through it. Like, did I miss something? Like, this guy's really good. And then he cut his promo. And when he cut his promo, man, he sucked me right back into the television. And I was a wrestling fan, mainly for him. By this time, I'm running a huge club in Fort Myers, Florida. And if you work Tampa one night in Florida and you work Miami the next night, well, that was just a little over 300 miles away. So you drive it. Fort Myers was right in the middle. And Jake rolled into my club one night, and that's God's work, man.
Yeah, that's fate right there.
Like it was so unbelievable because of what happened. And I see him, and I'm just going to say it. I was a huge mark for the guy by this time. I thought he's one of the coolest guys you could ever know. So my club is packed, and I'm back in my office grabbing my keys, and I see on the camera we had on the front door and the back door. On the front door, I see a guy walk in with long black hair and a Fu Manchu. I'm like, no way. And I freaking, club so packed, I ran around the outside. I go to my buddy Johnny, who's working the door. I go, Johnny, did a guy walk in here look like Jake the Snake Roberts? He's like, yeah, everybody thinks it's him. I ran in there, I saw him, and I slowed down. I didn't want to mark out, for Jake the Snake. But eventually I worked my way over to him. And I was like, hey, man, you Jake the Snake Robert?
Played it cool. Yeah.
Right. And he does this. Who wants to know?
Damn.
I said, the guy who runs this place. Yes. What can I do for you? So what are we drinking? And man, we got fucked up that night. It was like a safe place for him to come. We hit it off. He told the boys about it. And before you know it, if you're working Tampa or Miami one night and Miami or Tampa the next, guys would show up.
And then
I started
Westford Bar in Fort Myers.
Right. I literally have a.
We became the Gold Club in Atlanta, but we won't talk about that right now.
Right.
We won't talk about the Gold Club being John Darrow.
Oh my God, the Gold Club. Oh my God.
Back in the day.
Oh,
I mean, I sat at the Gold Club with some of your boys, whether it was Steiner or whether it was Goldberg or whomever.
dude, yeah, it was.
Many night that place.
The bottom line, I have a picture. I don't know where the fuck it is right now, but I had a picture of Ted DiBiase, and he's leaning back like this on the bar, right? And I got a bottle of tequila, and the bottle of tequila is streaming into his mouth. We're upside.
What bar? The bar in Fort Myers or
Yeah, the bar in Fort Myers. I'm so pissed I can't find it.
Yeah, I love these names. I started watching wrestling, to date ourselves. When I was 8, 9 years old, growing up in Macon, Georgia, wrestler number 2 and Tommy Wildfire Rich and all those guys. Used to love that shit, man. Every Saturday night they were on.
High school with wrestling number 2's son, both of them. And he had told them, don't you tell a damn soul that it's me.
Yeah, I always wore the mask.
Yeah, I always wore the mask. So when you'd go over to the house and knock on the door, he'd go put that damn mask on. So he would enter the door as wrestling number 2, and I'd go see John, one of his sons. I'm like, holy crap. And Tommy Wildfire Rich lived in the apartments right across from like where our subdivisions were. I went to pool parties and saw that dude, dusty roads all around town. It was crazy.
Yeah, that was great back in the day. And what made most of that stuff, flow to Georgia, flow to Atlanta, flow to the Southeast, I don't know. But,
there's a reason for that, Johnny. It's because TV was here. But always because Ted had his base here, you could work pretty much, South Carolina. You could work North Carolina. You could work Florida. You could be, 5 hours from just about anywhere. Atlanta was such a great hub. But at that time, there was a WWWF, which had those, Maine, New Hampshire, New York, Connecticut, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, I should say. And then you had the Midwest, which was the AWA. There was a time when there were 40 different federations and there were 8 big time players. And one was New York, another was Charlotte, another one was Georgia, another one was Florida, Portland, Kansas City. There was, and they would, because there was no cable, as one of the boys, you could come in and not know shit and look stupid out there. But because you kept training in the gym, you kept working hard, and you kept working on this, you went to the second territory. And maybe, you got a little bit of a push and they realized, oh, he's not ready yet. Let's beat him down and send him off. By the time you get to that third or fourth territory,
what makes somebody, quote, ready?
They know what to do out there. They know how to walk. They know how to talk. They know how to work. And working is trying not to kill each other out there.
Right.
And back then it was nowhere near as physical when it came to the bumps that they take today, because everything's so exaggerated. I mean, you got guys jumping off 2-story buildings in real life, hitting the ground and rolling.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Like they're running from building to building. Like it's like, you might not remember this, but Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck at one point in time both had theaters. Do you remember it? and Bugs is doing something to outdo Daffy, and Daffy's doing something to outdo Bugs. Then it goes back and forth, and finally Daffy's like, "Fuck this!" And he takes the TNT, and he takes the nitroglycerin, and he takes the gasoline, and he lights himself, and boom, it blows up, and the place goes crazy. And Bugs goes, "That's amazing! How do you follow that?" That's what he does. Is these wings are taking him up into heaven.
Well, you I may remember this, Steve, but to kind of get to your point, and I always, and I don't call it wrestling, DD. I call it wrestling. Huge wrestling fan, from back in the day. Actually, here's a quick funny story before I get to this next story. I'm 18 years in high school. I'm dating a girl named Ann. Dating about 4 months. We get in an argument one night about whether wrestling is real or wrestling is fake. You know what side I took. Hung up on her, never spoke to her again. I broke up with a girl one time over an argument of wrestling's real, wrestling's fake. Man, you go in there and not get hurt, man. It just can't happen. Shit's real, man. And hung up on her, never spoke to her again.
Did you call back and apologize?
I've not spoken to her to this day after that one phone call. We were dating like 4 months. It wasn't like we only like 2 dates over, the high school fucking chintzy shit. I mean, 4 months in high school, that's in a fucking eternity. And wrestling real, I'm like, ain't no way not get hurt, man. And so anyway, the story I was getting ready to tell, Rocky King, remember Rocky King?
I remember Rocky, yeah.
Yeah, so Rocky, kind of a heel, a working guy, and met Rocky through Otis Nixon years ago, and he recruited me, and like a dumbass, I accepted to do a wrestling like charity event. To do a charity event, wrestling, whatever. And so Rocky wanted to train me. And at that point in time, I'd watched a shit ton. I've been backstage, half a dozen times, 10 times, whatever, with Goldberg and Flair and whoever. But I'd never been in a ring. And I got in that ring first time, like, ooh, this is a lot harder than I fucking thought. I hit those ropes. I'm like, those things, they don't give as much as you think they do. And I fucking was doing some shit with him, and I jumped up and went down. Like, God damn, son. Steve, if you've never been up there, I guess maybe you have, I don't know. I mean, that floor is barely softer than your floor at home. Barely, not much. It gives a little bit, but not that much. Which gets back, I was right dumping that chick over wrestling real, wrestling fake. Bullshit, that shit's fucking fake. It is not either. That shit stings.
If you look at the politics, the only thing that is real is wrestling.
Yeah, and I actually hang out with Disco Inferno a lot. And Disco's like, it might not be as real as MMA and shit like that, but it's like, there's nothing anyone can do to me after 20 years of wrestling that's going to hurt my ass. Nothing. It's like, you legit are getting hit with chairs and shit. Like, yeah, that shit stings, bro. Like, you know how to take it, whatever, but no, it's still, you wake up in the morning, you need your Vikings. It's like, nothing, nobody do anything to me that I'm going to be scared about it happening. It's already happened.
If I was going to hit you over the head with a chair, and that's where you'd bend your back, but mainly your head, because you'd feed into it, But I would say to you, I'd walk up and say to you, I'm going to say I'm sorry right now. And it wouldn't matter who it was. He'd look at you and he'd go, "Don't come weak. Don't make me sell that weak shit." And because it was a badge of honor, And so when people say, "How do you fake those chair shots?" You don't.
No,
you know what else you can't fake?
Disco was saying.
You know what else you can't fake? Gravity. When Macho, the first time that I was lucky enough to have the feud of the year in 1997 with the Macho Man, when Mach left that top rope and he used it as like a trampoline springboard on those ropes. So he's coming easily 12 to 15 feet in the air. And he's going to land right down on your ribs. When he's hit,
260-pound man,
Yeah. 5'11", 6 foot, of 250 to 260-pound cat coming down. Now here's the real hook. He's 44 at the time. So if he was 34, and I didn't really think about this yet, if he was 34, I feel he's going to take a lot of that impact himself, and we'll both take it. That was not the way he was.
Just
Man.
pancake, huh?
Dude, when he hit me, I didn't even like stiffen up because I'm going to be out, and friggin' I took the thing to the head. I went down and I was out, and I'm going to sell it. And when he landed on me, I felt like the left side of my rib cage just opened up and my guts went all over the ring. And the fucked up part is, I know he's going to do it again. And now I'm like, oh God, I swear to you, I pissed blood 13 out of 16 weeks. I stopped for a little while because I said, Mach, land on my stomach. It's not a big deal, you can take it, give me it all. He landed on my face once, and it's I beat him the first one. He wins the second one, and it's Scott Hall going to be with him at ringside, and Scott's got his tag team belt that him and Kevin were the tag team champs. And at some point, Scott's going to stop me. Randy's going to take me down. Scott comes in, Randy hits me with the belt. He hit me so hard with that belt. I'm on Queer Street to begin with. Then Scott picks me up and gives me his finish. And the referee, Charles Robinson, is at this point screaming because, they got that ear monitor, right? And they're going, go home. Send those guys home, meaning finish the match, get done with it. Because if you have a 3-hour block,
somebody fucking dies.
If you got a 3-hour block and it gets to 3 hours and 1 second, what happens? It goes to the next program. And he's screaming from when they first took the headshot to go home, go home. Then Scott's going to hit me with this. And then Randy's going to come off the top rope and hit me. And next thing I know, I'm walking backstage. And I look around, I stop walking. I look at my wife, Kimberly. I said, is it Nitro? Did I just wrestle? And she went, what? I go, is it Nitro? I just get done wrestling. She goes, stop it, Paige, you're scaring me. I go, what the fuck? I go, is this Nitro right now? Where the hell am I? She goes, this is the Great American Bash. You just wrestled Randy Savage. I went, what happened? So what happened, and you can find this on YouTube, this match. When Macho gets to 1, 2, 3, Scott comes in and raises his hand. So I'm behind them, thank God. I start to sit up about like this. And I go back down. It goes to black.
So did you.
I sit up like the Undertaker, come to my feet, stumble, fall between the second rope and the top rope to the floor, gave them both the finger. She goes, and we're here now. And I'm like,
how'd you get back there?
Bro.
They carry you, you walk.
No, I walked myself. I just left my body over that period, bro. Concussion.
Wow. Yeah.
So now I know that if we think of it like this, if Sylvester Stallone, Clint Eastwood, and Schwarzenegger just took us down with gunfire, it would be like Tony Montana coming out, killing everybody after he's been shot 100 times. Like totally unrealistic. So if you were to do something like that to the top main guys, they're gonna beat your ass in the back. So I fucking went in the locker room and I put a table in between me and them. So I at least have a chance to say I was knocked out. I was knocked out. And they came to that door, boy, they kicked that door in and they I go,
what are they so pissed off about? They didn't get the end of the match?
That I stood up. I stood up behind him. I just took Scott's finish. I got hit with a belt, and I took Randy's finish.
You're supposed to be out and done.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay, I gotcha.
I would never have done that. But that's my subconscious was.
I gotcha.
They didn't give a shit. So when I came in there, and I go, I swear to God, I was knocked out. I had no idea what happened. And I threw the table out of the way. I go, if you don't fucking believe me, let's go. Because I figured if they're going to kick my ass, they're going to kick my ass. But they both realized he would never do that, you know? So that, you can't really see it here, but this right here, did you see how swollen my chipmunk face is over here?
Yeah.
I got a face sitting like
And the worst part is you sign the waiver, you actually volunteer for that shit. That's my job. Hey, I was working tonight, honey. I got in a fight. Yeah, that's just Wednesday night for you.
Yeah, it was like,
shit, man.
I waited for Randy to show up at TV the next day because we had Monday Night Show, and I waited right where you have to pass me. And eventually, Mach got there, and he walked up to me and he went, "Sorry, brother." And walked off.
I met him one time. Him and he came in the clubhouse in Cleveland one time. Met him once and only once. But
he was a baseball player.
Yeah, he played maybe Double-A with the Cardinals, I think. Yeah, he used to hang out with Bill a bunch back in the day. One good is for a young guy. Young guys, we always want to kind of know what the epiphany moment is when you kind of arrive, you're kind of included and all that. And if you ever saw, and maybe you did, you probably didn't. My post game interviews back in the day, I would always coming after games, and before I would go in the gym and get my post game workout in and ice down, I would always talk to the media. And every night, my workout shirt was a black T-shirt that said Goldberg on it. Sleeveless black T-shirt that said Goldberg on it. And that's what I would do. I would do almost all my post game interviews in. And so maybe end of the season, maybe second year or so, I never met Bill, and I'm playing in 99X, had a celebrity softball game at Georgia Tech, and Bill's on our team, and I walk out there, cameras are there and all that, and Bill's on first base, rips his jersey off, and he's got a sleeveless shirt that says Rocker on it. Like, all right, that's pretty fucking cool. That's pretty fucking cool right there. I appreciate that. But yeah, I had a lot of good times with Bill over the years, and
I'll tell you, boy, he's a fun cat, man.
Yeah, he is.
I met him in the Gold Club when he was playing for the Falcons.
Yeah, okay. Wow, long time ago. Yeah, that was early 90s.
Falcons. And I had such a good time with him.
Yeah,
was with me, and I introduced him to Eric, and I said, Bill, you need to do what we do.
Yeah.
And he's like, I thought about it, but not right now, man. I got NFL dreams.
Yeah, so here's another Goldberg story. So I was in San Diego, 15 years ago, and me and him and Ryan Kleska were hanging out. I don't know what Bill was doing in town, but me and him and Kleska were hanging out, and we're at some bar or something. I'm sitting there talking to these two chicks outside. Ryan's inside with Bill at the bar, and for whatever reason, these two fucking mooks, dudes just start like heckling me and harassing me, and I'm kind of talking shit back to them. They're cop blocking me. They're talking shit, And this goes on for like 10, 15 minutes. I'm like, you know what? I'll be right back. Walk inside. Hey, Bill, come here for a minute. Walk outside. Them two. And just sat back down. And I look at those two guys' faces with Bill's there like, oh, I think we really fucked up. That's hey, Bill, them two. I was into that. Pretty good.
Into that.
Yeah, it was pretty good shit. So,
yeah.
All right. So back to your show, man. I told you I watched 3 episodes of your docuseries. First of all, how are you finding folks now? Bagwell, Buff was on there. I told you, last time we spoke, I had a signing with Buff 3 years ago, maybe. And I didn't know Buff's history, I didn't know his background, but, a lot of wrestlers, have those extracurricular, type habits, but he looked okay. He had his girlfriend, wife there, whatever. And when I talked to you, you're like, yeah, he got in a really bad accident and et cetera, et cetera. But, when I saw him on your show, I was just like, Jesus. I mean, looked terrible. Couldn't, a lot of it was wreck type stuff, but could hardly walk. And, was talking about, some of the cuts on his face and cuts on his hands, his arms, his legs had been there for like, 8-10 months, just wouldn't heal. You guys.
20 years, bro. The ones on his knee or his friggin' calf, those wounds would not heal. when you're not
20 years?
20 years, man.
Really?
20 years.
Holy
Yeah.
shit. I never heard of that.
His calves, because we had him on a lot on the air, and we did a thing called the North versus the South wrestling, and Buff would come out in his hat and be a part of it. And he did a golf tournament, and I won't talk about him catching a golf cart on fire and driving it into a lake to put it out that we had to pay for, or stealing all the beer.
I think you kind of just did, but no, well, we'll move along.
But that's the beauty of what I do, John. So, but that going into all of that with him, the implants, he had calf implants, right? Because there's a look you guys want to have. You're in the gym, but some guys are plagued with not the greatest legs in the world, but huge upper bodies. But you have to have it all to be a professional wrestler, unless you're the guy that's going to lose all the time. You look fantastic. You're built, but he had to do calf implants, right? And was that a part of the problem?
No. Marcus didn't really need to do that because he wears boots that were up to the top of his bottom of his knees. So he could never see if he had calves or not. But that was an ego thing. But Marcus is, he was 16 years younger than me, I think it was. I can remember back when we first started out, I'm 35 when I start wrestling. And my career didn't take off until the back end of 40. So like almost 41. Actually, when I beat Savage, the next day I turned 41, the first time. And I used to say to, Marcus all the time, man, don't you get sore? Like, don't you need to ice up? No, feel great. But I was a guy for preventative maintenance, icing, and the reason why I've got cold plunges and infrared saunas and all this shit I have today is to hold back the hands of time. Marcus, it didn't really affect him, the booze. It's when he mixed the booze and the pills. And when you mix the booze with the pills, like especially a Xanax with a Soma, like that combination, and you put booze on that, at some point you're going to go from talking like this, talking like.
I've never understood how that's fun. I mean, I'm having a great time out with my boys at a club, whatever, trying to pick up some ladies, and that's the state I'm in. How is that fun? I've never understood that. Just stuck on stupid is not the right word.
When it comes to mixing pills, and here's how it happens. It kind of sneaks up on you. You have a match. I remember the first time I ever took a Vicodin and had some tequila. And I was like, whoa, like, wow, like I feel fucking amazing. And it was enough for me. Some people will be a down. When I took muscle relaxers and were drinking, I didn't like that feeling, and so I never did that. And what happened was Jake and I were doing the independents. So not with WCW, not with WWE. We're doing, the local spots around the world. And one of our first times we were out of the club, he put a pill in his mouth and chewed it up. And I said, did you just chew up on a Percocet? And he said, yeah. I said, why would you do that? They taste like shit. He said, well, it goes right to your brain faster if you feel that. I go, well, how many is that? I go, and he says, I don't know, 12, 13, I don't know. I go, 12 or 13 today? He's like, yeah, today. And I was like, man, I need to not use these things to party, because what happens, you need more and more and more to get them to work. Like when Mongo McMichael, remember when Mongo came in? Who used to play for the Bears?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, you talk about a stud. God rest his soul, he just passed.
They just say that, yeah.
I'm so glad they put him in the hall, that Hall of Fame before he left. And, bottom line, Mongo was a great guy, but pills didn't work for him anymore. So he went to Coke. And that's how you try to kill the pain, because tomorrow you've got another show, and then the night after that, And then the night after that, I can remember being on Hollywood Squares at one point, and one of the celebrity type people said to me, "So, I see wrestling all the time." He said, "But when's your off season?" I said, "When I'm injured, not when I'm hurt."
I'd never thought about that. When you guys have some time off just to mend, just sit on your ass and do nothing. That's right. You guys never do. Town to town, dude. Never thought about that.
Now, WWE today has TV. You might not their TV, their time on the road in the ring has easily been cut in half. You've got TVs and paper. They don't call them pay-per-views. They call them something else now, but pay-per-views. So if you're used a lot, you will work all 3 of those days. But if you get to the end, every time where you would normally do a house show, they're doing PR. So it just builds the brand bigger and bigger and bigger.
Without kicking your ass.
Right. But the travel still sucks, man.
Yeah.
Travel, I've
been trying to get AJ Styles on this show for 2 months, and I think this current cycle of shooting, Australia and Japan, I think, for like 15 days.
Yeah.
And
man. But he's going to start I'm glad he's going to have a retirement tour, because guy
he's 48, 49 years old.
Yeah.
Don't do that shit, man.
He deserves that. We all do, who get to that level, because hey, man, we did our friggin' time. We carried that friggin' torch, and I'll tell you what, nobody carried that torch better than AJ. AJ Styles, the phenomenal one, is just like, oh yeah, I would just text him watching a match, pay-per-view match or something, like, you really are Superman.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I've never met him. Yeah, looking forward to having him on. Yeah, one funny thing, playing for Atlanta for 5 years with Ted. I'm sure you've hung out with Ted. You got your own Ted Turner stories, and he would usually roll through the clubhouse 6:30 or so to the owner's box, and he's loaded up on where the hell he's loaded up on, booze and whatever he felt like, where he had in his pocket that night. And him and Jane Fonda come through, and I was like, "Hey, Rod, when you come wrestle for me?" I don't know, Ted, take it up with Cheryl. Probably going to be a while, though. Probably going to be a while. They always trying to get me to come wrestle. I'm like, I don't know, ask Cheryl, see what your fucking GM has to say about having his closer out there get his ass beat by, a bunch of gorillas. So
he's not going to like that. When you look at how hard, for all of us, our careers and how hard you've worked, and, you get to the point you're tired, but you're hoping there's something else at the end, like John, this podcast, which I think is cool for all your time in baseball and everything you've been put through. And DDP, I'm on a flight coming back from Mexico, I guess about 14 years ago. Your daughter's 2 rows behind me, and we're talking, and she had been at a resort pushing your theories, pushing what you're doing, the diamond cutter and everything. And she's at resorts working with people and doing this DDP yoga. And then I look at you working out of your house, and I've been there, and you get the monitor and everything that you do and the energy you have to talk to a whole nother new person and say, hey, you got to be into this if I'm going to do this, and we'll talk and we'll do that. But all the people you've helped, I think it's super cool where you've come with this change or die show. And I think you've helped so many wrestlers, but now you're helping different people. So I, like John, have watched the episodes knowing you were coming on, regardless of our friendship or how long I've known you or how fast you drive. I just want to say this real quick, John. Have you ever gotten in his damn car, his Tesla?
No.
Jesus. He gets in that. He tells me he hits whatever ludicrous speed, and I'm like, good God. First electric car I'd ever been in was DDP's. But I look at all the work, and now I see these kids like this Taylor, this 21-year-old kid that's 500 pounds, and then he finds out he's 5'13". He's trying to lose weight. And you got Butterbean, who some people only know him because he was on Jackass, and these people are in horrible shape. And they say that this show, that you've done, Change or Die, is a cross between 3 things: Biggest Loser, The Apprentice, and Fear Factor. It's just unbelievable where you're at now.
We had fun doing this thing, but it was very stressful at times, because unlike a reality show like a Biggest Loser or something like that, I'm not trying to get people fighting with each other. I'm trying to get people to unite and help each other. Like, that's what I do. And back when I was a kid, I heard Zig Ziglar, big bottle thumper. We all know who he was, or he still is. He's 99 years old still. But he said something one time, and I heard him. He said, "You can get whatever you want as long as you help enough people get what they want." And that's what I've been doing for the last 20 plus years. When I broke my back, end of 98, and they told me that my career was over, friggin', that's how yoga came into my life. But I was not into the, yoga. I wasn't into that whole thing. As I got to really understand it, I really understood it, but it still wasn't for me. I remember Stone Cold Steve Austin, who was living with me in 2004 when I was writing my second book, Yoga for Regular Guys, for Real Guys. I used to say, most yoga is very namaste. DDP Yoga, way more TNA. And back then, I meant TNA. I had hot-looking women and regular guys doing this. A lot of women started to really dig it. So TNA very quickly became Tone and Attitude. And it took me 8 years to be an overnight success in professional wrestling. It took me 8 years to be an overnight success with DDP Yoga. And for the last 15 years, we've had a company that has done incredibly well, and we've changed a lot of lives. And along the way, this idea of change or die, I knew Butterbean he wanted to die. In a wheelchair, anytime he was doing any kind of con, he'd have to be rushed, taken around with his wheelchair. If he wasn't, he was using his crutches, but he'd put them out in front of him and use them like a crab to walk on all fours because he couldn't stand up.
I've seen the episodes on your current docuseries, but also one you did just specifically with Butterbean. I don't know when that was, probably a couple of years ago, I guess. Right, it was just you two when you had him down at your place down at the beach. But yeah, holy shit. I used to love watching that guy fight, 10, 15 years ago. And yeah, saying he looked like holy shit is an understatement. I mean, look terrible. And yeah, if I was in that shape, I'd want to fucking drop dead too.
Yeah, he did not want to be here. Bagwell was so lost those last couple of years. And I can remember, Marcus, Marcus is a good guy, but he doesn't make good decisions when you add in the addiction. Without the addiction, he's a completely different guy.
And what would you do with him? Get him in rehab? I don't want to spoiler alert, your show here, but get him in rehab.
We take him as far as we can.
I mean, a light bulb just shot off of him.
Then we send him off. And then when he come back, he stayed with us for another year.
Are you in Atlanta with that, or are you in the beach? Okay.
Yep. But I'm moving my shit to the beach now. And when you're
45 minutes from me down in the Panhandle, and we've already talked. I'm having back surgery next a week from tomorrow. And let me get where I can move around a little bit and see what we can do about that.
As soon as you get done with dirt, they want you to do, because I don't want to break from their protocol. As soon as they let go, you call me and you come down the next day, bro.
I've got this knee to worry about next. This knee has been probably worse shape than the back is.
Well,
but that's going to happen first.
Because if we get them both out of the way, then we'll show that whole deal, bro. I'll help you through all that, and I
appreciate that. I'm still in pretty good shape, but I mean this whole right leg is just dysfunctional. I'm just dragging the thing around basically. It's quite frustrating. A lot of muscle atrophy, tons of weakness, and just from letting this poor little right leg stop 250 pounds going downhill for 15 years, it just finally gave out.
Wear and tear, bro. Wear and tear.
We first started talking about this about 3 or 4 months ago, and watched the videos you sent me and all that. That's something out of the box. I want to give that a shot for sure. So,
and it'll work. The bottom line is DDP Yoga works if you work. If you put the work in, like, you just didn't walk out on that mound and next thing you know, you're playing for the Braves.
Yeah, it took years. Yeah, I stretch a lot now, and obviously, I pick up heavy shit and put it down again. I'm still in the gym 5 days a week, but when we get, that eclipse in 50, the wheels are starting to fall off, need to, like you were talking about earlier, some pre-maintenance type stuff, something a little different than just your basic stagnant stretches and basic, let's see how much weight I can pick up and put it down, pick it up again.
I want to
I think I'll enjoy your program. So, well, anyway, brother, thanks for being on here.
My pleasure, bro.
You got anything else you want to add, Steve? I know I've been looking forward to talking to you live for a while.
DDP, it's been a minute. I'm doing the independent radio thing now. Just couldn't do the corporate gig anymore. I had a couple of offers, but I didn't want to sign up for it. And where the money was, I'm like, I'm going to own myself. So I'm having a blast being on 9 Signals in Georgia. And I'd love to, get you on another time. But doing this with Rocker, as far back as we all go, is just a blast. So I got tons of DDP stories, in my head. But the one thing I just wanted to say to you is that you've just been always true to yourself. I've never seen you not want to help somebody. And I don't know where it came in. I love your mantra. You get to the top by helping others. But just this DDP yoga works in this house. The only negative thing I can say to you is that when you got a guy that's coming in, it's 500 pounds, you don't need to run his ass into the Brady Bunch house because you got way too many steps and way too many levels. You need a ranch house.
I literally had one of those chairs I bought, and it takes you up. And the kid rode it one time, and he said, "I'm gonna walk from now on." I'm like, "Your choice." That was him.
He cries a lot, but he basically developed a pretty good attitude, and it worked for him.
Yeah, it's just going to be, and watch it all the way through. That's the key. And the first one you do it, don't stooge the other one off, because I'm telling you.
Yeah, I'm not another spoiler alert on the.
Yeah, and that's what I'm amazed with, because so many people have seen it all the way through. They'll have a comment, but they won't stooge it off like what happened. Yeah, so
good.
I gotta say, go to Tubi. Cost you nothing to do it. Check it out, and put a review up on TikTok, because that's one of the things we're telling people to do. Go put a review up, and we're gonna pick certain ones and put them over and do a little prize package for them. Boys, thank you so much for your time.
Enjoyed it, and again, check out Change Your Die on Tubi. It's DD's show, DDP Yoga, and I want to give a shout out to John Daly at John Daly in Nashville. We're actually filming at his bar right now, a couple blocks from Broadway in Nashville, and Good Boy Vodka, which is John's vodka. Shout out as well, but mostly thank you, DDP, for being on the show and gracing us with your presence. We certainly enjoyed it.
Appreciate you, boys.
Have a good one, boys. All right, there you go.